Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the always online multiplayer gaming podcast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things multiplayer related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magic Man, and this is episode 460. 460, we're doing it live, as we always do, twitch.tv/MMOBomb, Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope you'll join us sometime. We got chat standing by to chime in with their opinions to all kinds of crazy crap in the world of multiplayer gaming this week. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, iTunes, any of those podcast platforms, thank you so much. Give us a thumbs up, a like, a review, a subscribe, and most importantly, on YouTube and on MMOBomb.com, your weekly bombs and question of the week answers. Vital, important part of the show. I don't have them, can't do them. So that portion all depends on you. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And of course, for all the latest articles, giveaways, first look videos and stuff, hit up the website. That's the one that pays the bills, right? MMOBomb.com. Anthony just put up the next of our top games to watch in 2023 category lists, and this is shooter MMOs, so definitely go check that out. What's up, Baron? Joining me today to go over all the, well, some of it fun, but some of it not stuff, Ms. Quinlan Bowers. What's up, Q?
What do you mean some of it fun? There's like maybe a fun thing here.
I mean, the last one, the neat thing is that's good. The second part in the second topic, I think, is more funny than anything. For those that don't know, I'll explain it a little bit. And yeah. And then like the number one topic, you're right, is like just fighting within the gaming industry, just like all over the place. If you're not getting laid off right now, you're in a fight with somebody. You're in a fight.
I mean, I guess we could sell tickets and
that is a great idea.
Maybe then it would be fun.
That is a great. I'm pretty sure like Microsoft's FTC thing, like you can publicly attend those calls and stuff, but we'll sell tickets anyway. What are they going to do? I mean, they're busy. The government's busy. They're never going to find out, right? Ever. Also on the line, welcome back. It's 2023. Aspen Pash, Rose Hoppa herself is back. Hope you had a wonderful holiday season with the family there.
I did. It was so nice. And I know we're almost into February, but Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Kicking 2023 into high gear here. You spent some time with the family. The parents came into Japan, and you got to spend some time there. I mean, that just sounds great. And the family's a little bigger.
Yes, the family is a little bigger with a little girl named Luca.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. So first time mommy, daddy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How's the sleep schedule been?
Oh, it's non-existent.
Aspen's like, I play MMOs at 3 a.m.
Yeah, so it's actually perfect.
Because I know somebody needs to eat at 3:45. Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. What a way to ring in the new year, right? Like have a baby in December and immediately it's their first Christmas. Like immediately it's the
exactly.
first Christmas. You're like, oh great, now we got to buy a bunch of gifts for this thing we just brought home 2 weeks ago. But yeah, congratulations obviously to you and your husband, and good health and welcome to the world, as crazy as it is. And in the games industry, let's talk about exactly how crazy it is with some news. Okay, there we go. All right, so there is a lot of fighting right now in the games industry, whether that be legislative bodies against gaming companies against gaming companies against the public against gaming companies, and sometimes even just gaming companies against their own employees. And so we're going to start this segment with a little bit of an update to something that we talked about on last week's show, and that was the awesome 6th delay of Skull and Bones, as Ubisoft then went on to not only delay that game, but cancel 3 unannounced projects. We also now know, effective yesterday, we put it on the site, Project Q, their kind of battle royale, but not really a battle royale, that was canceled. We don't know if they kind of lumped that in as part of the 3 unannounced projects, even though we knew about it or not, but that's gone. And then we did talk about Yves Guillemot basically telling his staff, hey, the ball's in your court to deliver. We're streamlining things. The ball's totally in your court. And apparently, Aspen, employees and unions in particular didn't take too kindly to those remarks, did they?
No, and Ubisoft has always kind of had that issue of not treating their employees well and having a really terrible work-life balance. And when the CEO comes out and says those just terrible comments, of course they're going to be upset, and thus, therefore, they wanted to call the Paris workers to strike and to not work.
Yeah, it was going to be like a half-day strike on Friday, January 27th. So that's coming up. Here's what the union had to say about it, Q. Their demands, right? They said, first off, due to Guillemot only understanding the relationship of power, that's why they were asking for this, and saying, hey, that whole ball's in your court. Yeah, that's code for you better deliver or we're going to lay people off or not renew contracts, things like that. They did talk about the fact that, and it's something we reported, that they didn't technically lay off people, but they were kind of unofficially doing it by not renewing contracts or not backfilling positions. Yeah, Guillemot said that he wanted employees to be careful about their spending, and the French trade union took that as staff reductions, discrete studio closures, salary cuts, disguised layoffs. And they demanded an immediate 10% increase for all salaries, regardless of annual increases to compensate for inflation. With the hundreds of millions of euros obtained from Tencent, there is money in the coffers of the employers. An improvement on working conditions, in particular the implementation of the 4-day work week, transparency on the evolution of the workforce both locally and globally, and a strong commitment against disguised dismissals and a condemnation of abusive managerial policies that push employees to resign. So kind of covering all the bases there of stop trying to get people out without saying you're getting rid of people. And by the way, the ones that are there, take care of them better. I don't know if a 1.5-day strike does this, but it certainly starts to set the tone. And we saw limited strikes out of Blizzard, 1 day here, 1 day here, 1 day here, did actually have some effect on decisions going forward. Not that it solved everything, but maybe a little wake-up call could help here with some of the Ubisoft leadership.
So the thing about a day here, a day here, a day here, right, is if you keep doing that consistently, then eventually there's shit just not getting done. Yeah, a half a day strike does nothing. Like they've probably got something written in there somewhere for like snow days or something, right? You lose a half a day. But if you keep going, right, a day here, a day there, you lose an entire week's worth, month's worth, or whatever. The interesting thing here, and it's going to be across the board on a lot of these things that we talk about too, is something to remember is it is January. And in industries, this is official layoff time, so they can readjust their budgets and do all of that stuff and everything, right? Like
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly seeing it with Microsoft laying off 10K, hitting Bethesda, hitting Halo, hitting all those other companies. And Riot, today we reported, laid off like over 40 employees there. I mean, and multiple media sites are doing the same thing. It just happens all over the place right now.
Right. It's always because they're switching in and they're setting the new budget and stuff. And that's not making an excuse for it. It's actually showing how nefarious this kind of stuff is, in that now not only is it just, look, this would be when people get laid off in lots of industries. The reason I know it is because years ago a friend of mine was explaining it to me that it happens in the insurance industry, right?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things. They lay off, they hire again later, hopefully at a lower price to keep their shit down and everything else. But this is like taking it a step further and being like, oh, no, you guys are to blame for it. It's not that we're rebudgeting so that the people who were, getting those big bonuses for sitting around in an office all day get even bigger bonuses. It's all your fault you're getting laid off.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and he
like
did, and Yves Guillemot did have to backtrack things, obviously, right? And he's done this before. I can't remember exactly what it was, Q. Maybe you can remember, or Aspen, you remember. Like in the last 6 months, he said something, and it had to be walked back or reworded later. That's not exactly what I meant type deal. You're the CEO, bro. Like, sit down with PR and people that do that for a living and let them help craft the message for you if you can't do this on your own. I don't think the CEO needs to necessarily have that skill set. It's a very particular skill set. But if you don't, then get with the people that do, because the amount of times you have to walk things back, and again, it's a French-based company, so you have to add in, Aspen, that added complexity of what's this look like when it's translated? You know, does this have the same context? Am I using a French idiom that isn't going to translate into English very well? All those things need to be taken into consideration, and clearly he just doesn't have that capability. So surround yourself with people that do.
Yeah, exactly. And what he said last time was about addressing the company's toxic work environment, and he's like, you need to create a little bit more friction.
Oh,
I
that's
believe it was.
that's
right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, a little friction breeds creativity, or it's like, get the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hell out of here. Now
And
he
I'm just
did.
like, what?
Yeah. I don't know about you. That's not the way I work. Now he had to have a call with with employees, and he did open up by that call by apologizing for the whole "ball is in your court" thing, and changed it to "the ball is in our court." But yeah, basically after that, it was the employees grilling the crap out of him with questions about blame shifting and trend chasing for their whole like comments about no, they only like high-end IPs and that gamers don't want new stuff anymore. Like it was bad. It was, and deservedly so.
Wait. Did he go to the school of Bobby Kotick?
Yeah, basically.
And it's something else I realized while you were discussing this too. There's just a thing about CEOs or whatever at game companies that they really need. They just decide that their PR people are not people worth talking to, apparently.
Yeah.
Because we had the same problem, several years back with Smed, right? They had to kick his ass out because he was picking fights with people on Twitter. And I get it, he was mad, but and he was mad for a relatively good reason, but still, like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Why are you doing
You
this?
hire
It only hurt
PR
your company.
people for a specific reason. Use them. Politicians do the same thing, right? They get themselves in trouble when they don't run something by their PR people first. And then they're like, no, that didn't come off exactly the way I meant it. It didn't. He comes across, Flynn saying in chat, comes across as so dodgy from the outside. He definitely does. Yves Guillemot, absolutely. Pantheon Plus joining us for the first time in chat. Hey, thanks. Now, the rest of the show, let's talk about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, a game that we all know I'm looking forward to, and the two of you probably not. So it's going to be an interesting 45 minutes from here. No, we got other stuff to talk about.
That's not in the show notes. So.
That's not in the show notes. I wasn't ready for this. Next up in the world of the video game industry, just eating itself to death, Diablo Immortal now facing additional scrutiny. There was some stuff in the overseas about legislation about loot boxes and stuff like that. This isn't that. This is the Blessing of the Worthy legendary gem that was introduced in the game. Could end up falling into a class action lawsuit for the old bait and switch. So here's the deal. The item's original description offered players the chance to deal damage equal to their maximum health. It was like a 20% chance, right? And so if you have a lot of health and that procs, boom, you do a lot of damage. According to Polygon, it's a 20% chance to do damage worth 12% of their maximum health. That part's true when the gem is at level 2. If you level it up again, though, it's actually based on the player's current health. So if you're almost dead, the gem is awful. More importantly, it doesn't do what it said it was going to do if you level the gem up. So a lot, and you could only, this was in a number of different bundles, some of them as much as, over $100 USD. So people bought it for that stat reason, Aspen, then turn around, level it up, and all of a sudden it doesn't do what they bought it for. And Blizzard was like, no, we changed the description and here's some free gems, not recognizing that maybe I don't want gems. The only reason I bought this was I wanted that item, and if that item didn't do what it said it did, then I wouldn't have bought it at all. I don't want gems at this point. Maybe filing a class action lawsuit. There's a whole claims form. You can go fill it out, and a law firm is considering this. I honestly think they should do it, Rose. I honestly think they just should.
I mean, because we hear about this all the time, especially with Blizzard, and I don't think anything's really come out of it before. Like, I don't think a lawsuit's ever, like, finalized, but I feel like they have a really good case on this. And honestly, Blizzard needs to be taken down because it's just, like, not acceptable, and it happens all the time.
Diablo Immortal's a mess, Q. It's just an absolute mess.
When I was writing this, when you gave it to me to write, I was like, wait, is this the thing where they had the two things, the one that was in the shop and the one that wasn't in the shop? Or what, like, but one was a little bit less powerful than the other, but their icons looked the same, that whole thing. When I first started writing it, I was thinking crests. That before I read through, I was thinking that was what this was about. I was like, oh, and so for it to be a completely different thing.
Yep. Yeah, so the lawsuit, here's the other thing too, right? Like, if you're Blizzard right now, it's like, pardon the language, but it is not the time to fuck around and find out. It just isn't for Blizzard. You have to be careful right now. You've got the CWA breathing down your neck. You now have your third studio that unionized underneath you. Like, you have the lawsuits from California and stuff like that still pending. You have a lot on your plate. It's kind of like a best public behavior situation for a while. So who noticed this whole situation? Well, it was the Communication Workers of America, who you literally know, Aspen, have been banging at your door for a chance to get in there and take you down or hurt you in some way. They're the ones that they pointed it out to a class action law firm. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, and I apologize. Migliacco and Rathod LLP. And they're now, they have a form on their site that if you purchase the gems to get this thing, you can get in contact with them. They call it a bait and switch. And you know what? They're right. They're right. It is. So if you want to see a little retribution, what that looks like, Aspen, here's your staff at NetEase tearing down the orc statue after the Blizzard licensing agreement did not renew. Did you read their whole response?
Their like statement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was catty as hell, wasn't it? Like,
but like, so I mean, I don't know how much of a big deal it is, but when you think about when this news broke, this happens during China's biggest holiday, the Chinese New Year, which I also think is just kind of sleazy. And now, like, in all of Blizzard's games that are no longer played in China, they're having a Chinese New Year event, which I just feel like is so distasteful. So I don't know. I like it.
Blizzard,
I like the cattiness.
Yeah, I kind of do too. I mean, it does feel like watching your parents fight to a certain extent. Because Blizzard kind of like dropped the news this week that, hey, NetEase, that's done. WoW is done in China, at least for now. Obviously, they're looking for new partners. Oh, by the way, we offered NetEase a 6-month extension. And like the statement it should never have been put out. Like, it doesn't matter. Even if you did and they didn't accept it for whatever reasons, okay, it didn't work out. But like Blizzard almost did it to be like, hey, we're the good guys here, China. We tried to keep the game up for 6 more months. NetEase said no. Well, NetEase isn't going to sit around and just take that cue, particularly if that's not the case. And so NetEase in their statement says, first we want to respond to NetEase refused the 6-month service extension proposed by Blizzard. And I'm not going to read the whole statement, but in short, it basically says, hey, Blizzard's already negotiating with other places. And as far as we would be aware, that's probably a 3-year deal, similar to 3-year deals that we had renewed in the past. Why would we take a 6-month extension just to give you the additional time to negotiate a 3-year deal with somebody else? It doesn't make sense for us to do that. It just does not make sense. They said that Blizzard's surprise announcement on this was brash, unseemly, and commercially illogical. Its overconfidence does not take into account where players and NetEase have been placed by this kind of demand, riding a mule while looking for a horse, and divorce but still try to live together behavior. Like, they pulled out all the stops here, Q.
I think my favorite thing that was noted in the article, and it showed in the video too, when they like at the very end where they were passing around the drinks, was the Blizzard green tea. I didn't know that. I didn't know it because I think a green tea is this really amazing, great thing, and they're just like, it's a slur that refers to someone who appears wholesome, but is anything but that.
Yeah.
Although at this point, does Blizzard really appear wholesome?
No, no, but that's what they were trying to do here, though. Very much so. We tried to get you 6 more months, China. NetEase wasn't having any of it. They also said that some media reported that NetEase wants to control the IP. They said, we're concerned. Some media have received rumors that NetEase wants to control Blizzard's IP. In the past 14 years of long-term cooperation, NetEase has used and licensed any Blizzard IP in accordance with the terms of the contract and has obtained Blizzard's consent and approval. All IP cooperation with other partners is also based on that principle, so saying no dice there. And then a little warning, which I think this is where it gets a little like, oh, did you really have to go there, Aspen? There is going to be a tool for Chinese players to kind of archive their character and progress and everything with the intent of hopefully being able to import that into World of Warcraft with a new publisher. They just want to remind everybody that that feature has nothing to do with them. It's Blizzard only, Blizzard proposed, Blizzard developed. NetEase has not done any side testing using, and there may be unknown security risks. If this feature causes a loss of virtual property or inability to play, Blizzard shall bear the full responsibility. And then they end it. Of course, the most important thing is to wish everyone a happy new year.
I am glad that they did specify that. I thought it was NetEase that was doing the whole data downloads for their characters. So I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see what happens with this.
And we didn't put anything up this week because this story is actually 3 weeks old, but people are just kind of now getting a hold of it. There is an MMORPG that looks suspiciously like World of Warcraft being revealed by Tencent. Just saying. Enough.
See, I was wondering if Tencent would be who Blizzard would go to because Tencent has more money to dole out.
No, I think they're just going to steal it. I'm pretty sure they're just.
It is China. They don't care.
Yeah, and when the trailer was shown and was very, wow, that looks like Cataclysm, with Deathwing on top of Stormwind, and wow, that looks like it was just beat after beat in their trailer. And when it started catching on Twitter, even Chris Metzen replied, "Huh." That's all he replied on Twitter. He just, "Huh." So look for Tencent to be getting in on the World of Warcraft fun.
Wonder how Metzen's feeling about being back at Blizzard now.
Well, yeah, his position's really weird too. He's not technically at Blizzard.
At
Blizzard. He's still doing his own company stuff, but he's part of the creative team advisor to the creative team. So it's like he's like in this like Blizzard limbo. He's like, look, I want to help you, but I don't want to work for you. Like, I like Warcraft. I hate you. It's kind of is the way that I interpret it. What's going on over at Halo right now, Aspen? What's the deal there?
Yeah, so poor Halo. They've been struggling for what seems like years. But yeah, so
Microsoft's
recently
10K layoffs certainly aren't helping.
no, yeah, exactly. And it seems that 343 Industries, and that's the developer behind Halo Infinite, seems to be struggling the most with those layoffs. It's the one that's been hit the hardest. Bonnie Ross left the industries a while ago after, I think it was a month ago, due to family issues.
Yeah.
I mean, people were happy to see her leave, but
Yeah, they were.
yeah, I think that was more of a woo than anything else. But of course, it's sad, whatever the family issues might be. And then their creative director just recently left as well, but on his own accord, not fired. And I don't know what's gonna happen. Like Halo was such this amazing franchise, and it just keeps plummeting lower and lower. And these layoffs, I kind of worry about the IP.
Yeah, I mean, not only did the Halo team get hit, but apparently, like the Elder Scrolls Online / Bethesda team that got hit too. I mean, like you said, Q, 'tis the season for these types of things, but the numbers are bigger than normal. Chirac says that Halo died when Bungie sold that. Weren't all of them before Infinite considered good? Well, remember, Joseph Staten, the creative director, like came back to Halo, right? Like he was doing some other stuff at Xbox, and when they were initially having development problems, he came back to like, I'll help and do it. And now is like, okay, I'm gonna go back to Xbox publishing divisions now. So, like, he came in 2020, I think it was. Aspen, you wrote it. I think it's 2020, right?
Yeah, it was 2020.
Yeah, he came and joined. So he's relatively new to the team, 2 years. And now is, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Microsoft probably going to get slapped by the EU. So they've been doing their whole investigation of the Activision Blizzard stuff. And yeah, the EU still has till April 11th for deadlines and all this stuff. But they're probably going to slap Microsoft with an antitrust warning sometime in the next few weeks. This is over concerns that they have for the proposed acquisition. Now, remember, Microsoft has been trying to like placate a lot of these things, not just in the EU, but here in the FTC by like offering 10-year deals to different companies for Call of Duty and all these different concessions. It's not going to get them out of the UK deal. So the EU deal. The regulars there say to avert a statement of charge and shorten the regulatory process was Microsoft's whole intent there, but they're not expected to be open to remedies without first sending out the charge sheet. So the EU kind of saying, you can make all these remedies, but we're going to put our concerns in writing first. Just because you say you're making these remedies, and maybe you do, that's fine. We're going to put the concerns on paper first. So, yeah, this is kind of a big deal. Doesn't mean that it's off by any stretch of the imaginations at all, Q, but this is kind of a big deal and a little bit of a setback for what I think Microsoft maybe went into with a little more rose-colored glasses than they should have of this is just a normal acquisition. We shouldn't have any problems here. The charge sheet, a statement of objections expected to be released in the coming weeks here.
It's amazing to me that they thought that Microsoft, after having bought several companies, turning around and buying, ABK, because it's not just Blizzard you're getting, it's Activision, Blizzard, and King, which probably shouldn't have ever been together in the first place.
True. Yeah. And I mean, we did talk about on last week's show.
Stopped.
On last week's show, we talked about Google and NVIDIA now being a little concerned about this. Magic Slinky wants me to note here on the Halo thing that Staten came back to help, and now that it's finished, he's going back to Xbox stuff, so maybe it shouldn't be taken as the ship is sinking, I'm out. I would agree with you if Halo Infinite were finished. I don't there's so much going on there that I'll defer to you as a Halo player and not being a Halo player. Sorry, go ahead, Q.
So yeah, like I was saying, like you already have like Microsoft, you know, right? They're sitting there on all these other companies, and then you have, you know, Blizzard over here, you know, or Activision being sitting on all these other companies, and then they're like, okay, let's just smush them together. And it's like you get where Sony is coming from because they're a direct competitor. Like
Right.
everybody just ignores Nintendo, fine, because Nintendo's just gonna Nintendo anyway. They don't give a crap. But then, you know, as far as like people, when they actually start to decide to care about, you know, how big the companies are getting and everything, and you know, they're like, oh well, this is a giant company and this is a giant company, and now you want to be one magnificently giant company. Let's just, maybe we should reconsider all of that.
What do you
Like
what do you think, Aspen? Do you think the deal ends up going through?
I really do. I think it's gonna go through. I think for the most part, like everybody's concerned with making sure like the marketplace is gonna be fine. And I think it will be. I know that
It is the
it's a big
biggest
monopoly.
gaming acquisition ever. Like it's not
Yeah.
even close.
And so many people have already like passed on it. I think Brazil passed, Chile passed on it, like saying like it was okay, it's good to go, we're cool with it. I think, of course, Sony is
it's the
upset.
last count, I think, was four countries that
Yeah,
had
it's
actually
like 4 or 5 now, yeah.
passed it. So it's not really that many, and they're kind of like, if you look at the list, they're kind of like lower in consideration than the ones that are arguing against
Right.
it.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
true. I don't know.
the two big dogs that you need to make this deal happen, Aspen, are the ones that are arguing and going to put forth a charge sheet, the EU and the United States.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's good. I think they should. And then if Microsoft can address those concerns and everything's fine, I think it'll go forward.
I mean,
I mean, I could be wrong.
No, I'm with you. Ultimately, I think this goes through as well. And I don't have a problem with what the EU is doing. I actually like the way the EU is running their investigation. And here's our concerns, and we're going to put forth a formal document, and then there will be a chance for you to address those concerns. The FTC in the United States here kind of going after it as through a lawsuit to stop it. I don't think that stands a chance, because basically the ground you have to stand on is, does this create either a direct monopoly or a potential future monopolistic acquisition, whether that be mobile, cloud. You know, those are some of the bigger concerns. And I think you just lose that fight. I think I don't think you can prove that one yet. It's not a monopoly by the current definition of it, and it wouldn't even be the biggest gaming company overall when it's all said and done. So you lose that argument right off the bat. I think the FTC's, hoping to get a walk, pitch 4 balls and and let's make some concessions and let's call it a day. But so ultimately, I agree with you. I think it absolutely goes through. I don't think there's enough of a reason for it not to, which is what they would need. Or maybe it won't. I don't know. Here's a couple of weird things. Why did I put this here? Why did I say this was weird? I think I might have linked the wrong article.
Yeah.
What was this supposed to be?
Yeah, so it is not weird that NetEase laid off the employees that worked on the Blizzard stuff after the Blizzard partnership ended. That is not weird, Mike. It's just, I'm pretty
I thought
sure.
it was just like a quirky
That
sense
should
of
have
humor
gone
thing.
earlier. Yeah, that should have gone earlier, probably like right after we discussed the other stuff.
Yeah, so I'm scrolling through MMOBomb.com right now to see like what articles are right by that one. Because we're absolutely professional. There's the Destiny 2 player. Oh, wow, that actually worked. A Destiny 2 player character mysteriously vanished last week. This is weird. See, now you're with me, Aspen. Now you're with me. You're
Yes.
like, okay, that's weird. That is weird. That is weird. They just logged in and their Titan was gone. For no reason. No ban messages, nothing. Aspen, you wrote this up. What the hell was going on here?
Yeah, so the the player logged into his account. He, his Titan was there to start, and so he like clicked on his account to load everything, and then he got a black screen, and he's like, okay, that's bizarre. And then when he went back to the player screen to choose like different characters, his Titan was completely gone. And the poor player went to Reddit and kind of explained his situation. He's like, oh my goodness, I logged on. My player's gone. I don't know if Bungie will be able to get the character back. I don't know what happened, but they had a lot of obviously gear and stuff that they worked really, really hard for, legendary equipment. And thankfully, the community with all of its upvotes, it got seen by the people working at Bungie, and they were able to do a search and rescue, and they got his Titan back.
It was like apparently Q, it was like this all hands on deck thing too. Like they had to call in a bunch of teams and staff members to come in and rescue this one lost Titan. Couldn't find him. They said nobody else was impacted by it because then the rumor was, a bunch of people had this happen, and the Bungie team was like, no, this didn't happen. You're fine. We got it all fixed. Nobody's missing. I likened it to Alice in Borderland because I just finished watching that when I tweeted it out. I was like, they rescued him from the Borderland. It's all good. It's all good. we got the Titan back.
It's like the scenario where the kid gets trapped in the well and everybody just comes out to try to get the kid out of the well.
I like to cows in chat. Look, I really feel for the kid, but you best believe I ain't coming in on my day off for this.
Aww.
You're Titan. We'll look at him Monday. In other weird news, Rocket League finally said something publicly yesterday about the bots that have leaked into the competitive online scene. So if you don't know what's going on here, the short version, there's a group of modders that program Rocket League car bots. You can then take those bots and load them into Rocket League offline. It does not allow you to use them or even remotely use them online, but you can take them into 1v1s and 2v2s with your friends through a LAN connection to train against a bot that is, champ difficulty or diamond difficulty, whatever you want. Well, there's a second group that said, what if we could actually get a Rocket League bot to train itself through AI learning algorithms? Instead of programming behavior, you tell the bot what's good, and then let it play umpteen bajillion games in a isolated gym environment and learn how to become good at it. Well, it worked. It worked. So then they took the bot and gave it back to the first group and said, if you want to put a version of this up on your website so people can play against it like they can your other bots, this is like a god tier bot. And it is. It's very, like, you can cheese it in certain ways, but it's very, very, very good. Here's the problem. Somebody took the bot and reworked all the software on their own, made their own client, forced it into Rocket League to be able to queue up online in competitive queues. So there were god-tier bots in the competitive queues for days. Well, months, actually. It was late last year. It was like late November into December last year. Psyonix finally made an announcement saying, we've banned a ton of people. They're gone. We're working on an anti-cheat software that will be coming soon. We'll have more details later. We've added cheating back to the report tool for users. Doesn't mean we have them all out, but now we know what to look for. And they did go back and say, hey, until we are able to fix this, could you not release any more god tier bots at the moment? Could you just not do that? And the Rocket League devs or the modders were like, yeah, we won't release anything. So it was a little dicey. So now, Rose, not only are most players better than me, but now the bots are better than me too. Now
I know. I was expecting it to be like, and now these like little cars are sentient and they've learned how to love. Like
there's a Rocket League car wedding queue and you're invited. Yeah. Hey, last up, look at this. Do either of you remember this MMO? Honestly, I didn't at first. I had to go look it up. It's been so long since I'd seen it or covered it. And this is Dragon's Dogma. It was an MMO by Capcom based on that IP, which I was familiar with, but I didn't remember there was an MMO.
I vaguely remember talking about it at some point.
Well,
vaguely.
It's trying to come back. And by trying, I mean, of course, fans have gotten a hold of this and are making a fan-made project with an English translation so it can come out west. It's going to take years to finish. And that's if Capcom doesn't, slap them around with a C and D. Yeah, exactly. Slap them around with a C and D. Magic Slinky. I did not know the MMO existed until the news of the private server came out. This was a while ago. Yeah, it was years ago. Dragon's Dogma is a great franchise. I totally forgot about its MMO, Aspen. Totally forgot.
I only knew about the franchise. I didn't know there was an MMO.
Yeah. And apparently, in many, many years, we might have it back as long as Capcom doesn't find out about it.
Writing about it probably means Capcom's gonna find out.
Did we blow it? I think we blew it.
Yeah. Well, not just us though. I'm sure there, are plenty of other sites.
Yeah, there's just a few. I mean, I love when fans do this type of stuff. I wish, like we talked about Duelist releasing their source code, Counterplay Games. I think that's them, the original Duelist. Releasing the source code for Duelist and just saying, do what you want with it. And we saw that with Paragon, too. Like, I love when companies do that. They're like, hey, we're done with it. We're not making any money off of it anymore. We don't intend to make any money off of it anymore. Here, do what you will with it. Obviously, there are some IPs you just can't do that with because there's so much. Like, you could never do that with Warcraft, right? There's just too many interconnecting movie rights and merchandising rights and all that type of stuff. So there's kind of a limit on how big the game can get where that's still a viable option to do. But yeah, I love stuff like this. I hope Capcom just leaves it alone. But we always see particularly the Japanese and Chinese companies and Korean companies, very, very Korean, very, very strong on shooting these types of projects down, Aspen.
All the time. It's really, it makes me so sad because I feel like so many great things could be made, especially with, Japanese and Korean IPs, because they've made so many wonderful things and it's so different from, a Western audience's standpoint. But yeah, it's probably going to be shut down.
Let's slide over and go do the weekly bombs. Magic Slinky saying, I'd rather them get found out now than years down the line when it's ready to come out. I guess so. I mean, that's fair. I'm just going to give an A-bomb to the state of the video game industry anymore. Just lately, it's hard to have fun and just enjoy freaking video games anymore. They either have these absurd monetization policies. You can't get excited when anything's coming out because most of the time it comes out broken anyway. You don't want to pre-order anything anymore because that process has just been abused to hell and back. You got the internet basically going after devs. There was an article I read this week, Q, that was in surveying game industry employees, line level developers, graphic designers, not execs, that type of stuff. But one of their big concerns is threats from fans. It's such a mess from all angles right now. I just miss the days of being oh, that's coming out. I'm super excited about that. Let me go wait outside a GameStop for a midnight release. Those were the days. And I know that makes me old, but you know what? Fine, I'll be old. What do you got, Q?
It was almost going to be the exact same thing.
You want to go to a midnight release, Q? Let's go to a midnight release. I'll pick you up and we'll go to a midnight release. I mean, we'll have to stand outside till 9 a.m. when the place actually opens, but we'll still call it a midnight release.
There was just I don't know. I miss the days of just writing about stuff that I'm excited to be happening in games. Like every time you send me another Blizzard piece, I'm just like, oh God, why do I have to write this again? Why do I have to keep putting this stupid little disclaimer on the bottom of this thing because Blizzard hasn't got their shit together yet? Like, and like, so mine wasn't going to necessarily be like, I didn't even think about the threats aspect from the audience part. I was just like, game companies, please get your shit together. We would like to write about your games, not about your nonsense, not about you treating your employees badly, not about like the third strike this week or any of that shit. And this is all important stuff to write about. I would just rather write about your games,
Yeah.
guys. Like, quit being
Yeah.
stupid and make good games. That's all we want.
Yeah, I've talked to friends of ours at various game companies where things, whether it be Blizzard or Riot or Ubisoft, where things aren't very good
Right?
in the media right now, right? Where it's just like bad story after bad story, and you've got those employees that are just like, could we talk about the new patch? We're so excited about what we put in this patch, and and we got these good things going on, and it's like we would love to. It's not just you that would love for us to cover just that stuff. We would love to as well. We got into games media to talk about games, not talk about you touching your employees while you're all getting drunk around cubicles. That's not what we got into this for. So, yes, we would love to join you on that front. What do you got, Aspen?
I'm gonna actually change mine to a
Oh.
bomb, yeah, for the nostalgia of midnight releases.
I have
Because
swayed
you
you.
said that, and like endorphins just ran through my whole body. I was like, oh my gosh, midnight releases, those were the
They
best, and I totally
were.
forgot about them.
They were. What's the last one you went to?
I think I was working I think the Pokemon. Which Pokemon game was it though? Oh, there's been so many. Maybe it was.
Magic Slicky in chat, the last one was Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Oh, that would have been a great midnight.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, it would have been. I went to like the last personal one that I wanted to go to and did was Final Fantasy 12 on the PlayStation 2. I have been to a few after that. They kind of started getting phased out. But I went to a World of Warcraft expansion one. I don't remember what expansion. I think I went to like 2 of those. More for my brother Havoc, who was very, very big into those. Pantheon Plus, Madden. What Madden? Do you not? He doesn't. Pantheon doesn't want to give the year. I wouldn't either.
I think the
Just
last thing I went
Madden.
to was for the Wii.
A Wii
wow.
game had a
It was-
midnight release?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what?
What
With
Wii game?
the,
Oh, I guess
like,
it would be
no,
Smash.
not a
would.
game, the system.
Oh, the
Oh.
system
The Wii
itself.
system.
Yeah.
To do not even to pick, not even the release, but to order it. And it was here and like we worked I worked at this place next to the GameStop, so we were buddies with everybody at the GameStop, and he was like, okay, you need to be the assistant manager was like, you need to be here at this time, right? So we're there, we're all standing around waiting, everybody's playing stuff on their DSs and shit, right? We're getting along, and then the moms show up. And
The line
I
of
already
moms.
I already knew exactly how many people would be able to do a pre-order because they had sent it in an email at some point. So it's like, okay, 18, and I'm standing there going, and the moms in the back are being like really bitchy, and they're like, well, who's gonna complaining? And I was like, so they've only got 18, and yeah.
And you're 19, lady.
And
You're
y'all
19.
are like 22 and 23, so y'all can quit fighting and go figure out how to get Timmy their game somewhere else and just leave us to our business. And then it was they're like, yeah, whatever. And the manager comes out and he's like, all right, I've got some tickets here. And if you guys don't get a ticket, then you just need to leave. And he
Yeah.
just passes them out. And of course it stops like 2 or 3 before the moms, and you're just like, told ya.
Bye. As far as like working retail, I worked the PlayStation 2 release and the Xbox release in retail at Best Buy. Yeah, if you just ever wanted to hang yourself from the rafters, that's absolutely the time to do it. It's absolutely the time to do it. To Cal from chat saying, DeBomb to having nothing to A-bomb this week. This week was a good one for me. Nice. Flynn says, DeBomb to Croft Manor in Power Wash Simulator. Speed run when? Yeah, we talked about that on the Relic Grind at the tail end of it last night. It was Tarkoth just rolled his eyes. He doesn't appreciate it. From the viewers on YouTube or on MMOBomb.com, Timothy James chiming in saying, an A-bomb to all the hate from Troy on Skull and Bones. A DeBomb to Anthony for the positivity on Skull and Bones. Having played one of the closed betas, I totally agree with you on where it could go. There was enough where I could say that this would be a good game, especially if I played with friends. It has the bones of a great game, pun intended, and if they properly support it and continue to add content, I could see it being that. I also see people waiting in the starting area with their battleships, waiting for noobs to row their first dinghy out, ruining it for a lot of people. So I recommend starting on a PvE server if you're going to wait to purchase the game. And I don't disagree with Timothy, and I've said that on the show too. This could be a good game. It could end up being something that a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we look at like we do No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves, where they really, and even New World to a certain extent lately, right? It comes out and it's got a nice set of bones, but it doesn't have the meat around it yet. And maybe it shouldn't have come out yet, but it has to come out now. So this is what it is. And a few years later, my biggest concern with that approach is I don't think Ubisoft is in any financial situation or interest situation to give the game time that it would need to get there. That is my biggest concern. And I do think launch days and launch months are going to be a fiasco and bad reviews and all that stuff. So that makes it harder to get the impetus to keep going when it's, reviewing at a 50, stuff like that. Q, go ahead, take the next one.
Bulldozer. EA finally got what they deserved for acting and treating their customers like that. This may need some qualifying comments. Now what I expect is going to happen soon. Glad to finally see that Ubisoft will wipe the dust in a little too. Seeing these big companies finally not making that much money anymore because of their stupid decisions makes me so happy. When they need to reconsider the entirety of what they are doing since they fucked up, does it make me laugh a lot.
Yeah, it was like financial stuff we were talking about last week. And of course, the whole Ubisoft, redoing their expectations. Go ahead, Aspen.
That Harv guy, Bless is back. It's mobile. It's got NFTs. What could go wrong this time?
Yeah, I just think if you have Troy would love that. But yeah, you just don't put the name Bless on anything. Like even if it's Bless related, you come up with a new name. Box saying, Weekly Bomb, giving an A-bomb to Overwatch 2 for the current event going on. It's one thing to make every character even more broken and annoying than they were previously, but then you make it a free-for-all deathmatch instead of a team-based one. Blizzard, what were you thinking? I'm assuming that's the Gods event that's still going on. That's the free-for-all one, right? Either of you remember that?
I think so.
Question of the week last week. What MMORPG or multiplayer game do you just not like that you're sick of hearing about how much you should play from players who actually do like the game or your friends? You could also read that as what popular MMO or multiplayer game do you just not enjoy, even though many do, and why? Timothy James chiming in saying, question of the week. Honestly, I haven't found any popular MMORPGs that I absolutely hate. It's just always came down to the thought that I spent so much time grinding in WoW, so why grind here? So not necessarily an MMORPG that I don't like, but a feature within them that turns me off of them quickly. Then we're going to fill your bags and sell you inventory space. Two that immediately come to mind on this are ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, and Neverwinter. Other than that, I would say I love those games, but the collector in me absolutely hates them. Do we think that maybe Timothy James is an alternate Jason Winter YouTube account? That we just immediately went after the inventory. Just immediate. But yeah, I absolutely agree there. Go ahead, Q.
I mean, to, all fairness, Jason's kind of right about inventory in games. Box question of the week. Definitely would be Elder Scrolls Online. I've given it more chances than versions of Bless that have existed that Troy so dearly misses. Between the gross monetization of how segmented content is in DLC packages to just how unfulfilling the overall combat felt. I love the heck out of the Elder Scrolls games previously, but ESO just fell so flat on its face.
Yeah, it's definitely a love it or hate it MMORPG. And even though I do love it, there are aspects, as go back to last show, I kind of tore it apart for some of its monetization stuff over the past 2 years. And I hope some of my eagerly awaited games, avoid those types of pitfalls. Yeah. Finish it up, Aspen.
Cyberpsychosis says Final Fantasy XIV. A couple of reasons: global cooldown, moving cancel spells, systems outdated in general, no voice acting, story just a bunch of text. It get good at 50 hours. Why do I have to invest 50 hours to reach that point, etc.? And basically, it feels mediocre, and requiring a subscription makes it even harder getting into it.
Yeah, the subscription barrier is one for a lot of people, regardless of game. They just look at it as an outdated mechanic. I'd rather pay a sub than 99% of the free-to-play schlock that is out there. But there's some good ones. No voice acting. That one's a little weird. Like, I get the grind at the beginning. The global cooldown is something you're just going to be okay with or not okay with. Moving, canceling spells, if you kind of like more action-y combat where you have that movement. Outdated systems, yeah, there's still, to this day, a few different high-level systems that are just outdated because they're built on that old architecture, and we got to wait for them to constantly phase out. They've been cleaning them up. The no voice acting part, that one I don't get. There is less, I guess. There is less,
it's not
I guess, in
constant.
It's not every character voiced or like an Elder Scrolls Online is. But the main story, most of those cutscenes are voiced. Maybe they're talking about out of cutscenes.
They might be talking to you about your character, not voice acting. Which
Oh,
for me,
maybe too. Yeah,
I am
maybe
happiest. I am happiest when my character is not talking.
Yeah, and in the original Realm Reborn and even into Heaven's Word, the voice acting was a lot more minimalistic than it is in the more recent expansions. So, hey man. It's my game still. It's my game, but... Takal said, I didn't answer the question a week on the last video, so here goes. Put it on the videos from now on. The game I don't want to play no matter how much you tell me to is WoW. It's been out since 2004. If I cared, I would have played it by now. Stop asking me to play it.
Wait, are there people still asking people to play WoW?
I guess. Ninja Panda saying that person got a skill issue. It doesn't take that long to hit 50. Okay, Patrick says true. Yeah, it certainly doesn't take. It doesn't now. It's a lot faster than it used to be. They were saying 50 hours. In their comment, they weren't saying level 50. Chat.
I think what they were talking
somebody
about
said
is
it gets good after 50 hours. Yeah.
I think what they're talking about is getting past post ARR, because that's what most people complain about is the story up to post ARR.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm figuring that's probably what they meant.
So I had a question of the week that said, hey, like, given the state of the games industry, what company would you actually want to go work for at this point if you were actually in the game industry, and why? Does it come down to like working on your dream or favorite game, the company itself, or whatever? And if you want to answer that one, by all means, go ahead. But I think we've stumbled across a more important issue. Magic Slinky, go put it in the YouTube comments, please. Or on MMOBomb.com. That one pays the bills, so go there. I think we stumbled, Aspen, on something more important. What was the last midnight release you went to, and why? Give us a little rundown of your experience. What were you buying? What was the event like? Was it fun? And would you go to one if they still had them? Or we just passed that now? I don't know. Let us know the answer to either question of the week in the comments below. While you're there, don't forget your weekly bombs. D-bomb for something good, A-bomb for something bad in the world of gaming or just life in general. We'll be back, of course, next Friday with another episode of the Always Online podcast. Until then, Aspen, where can everybody find you?
You can find me across all socials at Rose Hapa.
Cute.
Still on Twitter at Quinlan. Not really doing anything when I'm there.
I don't remember if I hit the weekly bomb bump or not. Oh, well. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at MMOBomb, where you'll know every time we go live with a stream, post a new first look video, giveaway, news article, and so much more. Until next time, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.